A few weeks ago, I watched the 1974 horror film, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I absolutely loved it. It immediately became one of my all-time favorite horror movies, alongside The Shining, Halloween, and The Thing. And initially, this video was going to just be the first part of this title, until I decided to watch the recent soft reboot that dropped "the" from its title, as well as everything that made the original so great. The original Texas Chainsaw Massacre is filmed to look and feel like a documentary. It is simultaneously minimal and captivating in its cinematography, and it has haunting music and sound design. It knows how to ride the line between the real and surreal to create some of the most terrifying and deeply unsettling scenes in any film ever. The kills aren't over the top in gore or in graphicness, but instead are painful to watch, to be able to make the audience feel the realistic agony of the characters in their final moments. So, in the new one, characters are killed or almost killed in some of the most ridiculous ways I've ever seen. I'm going to give a few examples, so if you're not a fan of hearing grotesque violence being described, here's the spot to skip to. It's time for a speed round. Leatherface snaps a policeman's wrist and then stabs him with the exposed bone, and in the struggle causes the guy to shoot his fellow officer. Soon after, Leatherface bashes the other officer's head in and strangles and slices open the girl in the front seat. Another guy's face gets slashed so that his jaw is revealed like he's Two-Face. Kroger band Chris Hemsworth attempts to kill Leatherface and ends up getting his knee knocked backwards and his head mashed to a pulp with a sledgehammer. Leatherface throws a sledgehammer, causing the person he hit to go through the floor. Someone avoids the chainsaw that is coming through the ceiling like a reverse shark fin. A bus driver is decapitated off screen and then his head is thrown back onto the bus. A bunch of rich nerds on a bus are mutilated by a chainsaw, including one that is clearly meant to look like a disturbed sex joke. A woman is impaled by a chainsaw, held up in the air using it, and then thrown. Leatherface attempts to weebilling someone to death, and someone gets graphically decapitated to finish off the movie. All of this is so absurd that you can't even take an ounce of it seriously. It's cartoonish to the point it feels like a Treehouse of Horror episode.
Show me what you got! Is that the best you can do?
What you say? This point leads us to
Spider hiding in the corner.
The original Texas Chainsaw Massacre isn't scary because of the kills. The kills create shock value, but they don't create fear. The original uses an expertly crafted, slow-burning first act, fantastic use of dramatic irony, and a claustrophobic sense of inescapability. The first 40 minutes of the original building up to the first kill creates so much tension, since the imagery constantly makes you fear for when the worst will happen. And when it does, it is so sudden your brain isn't ready. The first kill is one of my favorite jump scares ever because it really isn't one. Instead of a loud noise and a scary image, we just get a quick little pop to the head. Then the rest of the film uses this to fuel more fear as the teenagers continue to walk into the house that the audience fears, and the characters believe is shelter and safety. And when Sally escapes Leatherface's domain and finds the gas station, and hopefully safety, the facade is removed, and suddenly the reality is that help isn't around for miles. All of the best horror movies do this. The kills and scary moments should be built up to, and be the release of all the tension that was built up. This new one decides to have the first kill have no build-up and happen before the 20-minute mark. After 10 minutes in the town, the first kill has happened, and if you are scared, you just don't have tolerance for anything graphic or gory, apparently. And from this point on, there is not enough time between kills or attacks to truly build up to anything. So the film just moves from random stupid set piece to random stupid set piece without much progression, since the killing moment happens at least 15 minutes before the climax. It's dumb loud nonsense that is a far cry from the quiet, suspenseful 1974 version. Speaking of dumb nonsense, so for any of my uncultured viewers out there, Leatherface is not the singular protagonist of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. No, he's one of 4, and he isn't even the scariest one. Evans is the scariest one. He haunts my nightmares. Leatherface is the brute force member of the Sawyer family and does the dirty work for the others. Arguably, the most quote-unquote normal one, Drayton Sawyer, is the main antagonist of the original. Leatherface is a strange creature in the original, but he's a grounded enough character that he still feels like a real person. So no, I don't think Leatherface can take 6 bullets and a chainsaw to the chest. I think he should be dead. To be honest, I've been doing paraquantum astroparticular biochemical physics to figure out what to do with Leatherface in this one. And that's because I can't seem to get a great answer on whether this is the same Leatherface or not. Regardless, I don't like it. So here's my dissection of both possibilities. Let's say that hypothetically, this is the same numbnuts from the original movie. Well, every source I have seen puts him at about 70-ish in this new one. So, Mr. Director Man, I'll believe you that a 70-year-old Texas farmer is a tough dude. I can, just barely believe that a 70-year-old Leatherface could snap a man's wrist bone, pick up an adult woman using a heavy chainsaw, throw a sledgehammer so hard it sends someone through the floor, swim. But want to know what I don't think a 70-year-old man can do? How about withstanding 6+ bullets and a chainsaw to the chest? But despite that, it still creates story problems for the movie. How did he get from the Sawyer house to the orphanage? The house is shown in the stupid post-credit scene, so clearly it's there. Why would he move to the orphanage with some random old lady? Now let's say this is a separate killer. He might be younger and more likely to withstand all of the feats of strength and fatal wounds. It would also be semi-supported by the throwaway line from Sally about not remembering her. But now I have lots of questions. First, why would he cut off that lady's face? I thought that was his maternal figure or something. Why would he wear her face? Another thing is that it's never specified whether this Leatherface is a cannibal. This is never shown, so it begs the question, why is he so murder happy? Most of the people don't do anything to him, and he just kills them. Why? Nothing supports before the first kill that he is a violent murder man. And he just is one. And besides that, there's a scene that personally made me confused. And to explain why, let's go back to the original here. The original's best scene is the dinner table scene. There are undertones that Leatherface is abused by his family. But this is meant to be satire and isn't really given a lot of weight because as an audience member you are too full of dread to care for any of these psychos. This new one thinks it is continuing this theme by misunderstanding the original. The original is using satire, not sympathy. This new one uses the latter anyway. There's a painfully long scene where Leatherface mourns the old lady while wearing her face. I don't get what this scene was doing. Was it supposed to be scary or surreal, or was it supposed to be an actual moment for a character who's committed multiple atrocities? Luckily, we will never know. Anyways, let's talk about the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre has some very clear themes. One is definitely about mundane horrors, how danger can lurk anywhere if you aren't careful. There are definitely some metaphors for vegetarianism. There's a lot of mention and imagery of meat processing, like how characters are treated much like cattle by the family. And of course, the main moral of the story, make sure you have enough gas to get where you are going, goddammit. This new one doesn't have much in the way of themes. There's a theme that's something gentrification, but they don't really show the true harms of it outside of an old lady dying because she wasn't just going to use the oxygen that's right there. Your oxygen tank's right there. Just use it. It's right there. It wants to say something about influencers, but then it just it doesn't. But these aren't much out of the ordinary from the current atmosphere for modern horror. However, there was another theme in the remake that just really rubbed me the wrong way, and it's this comparison between the Leatherface killings and school shootings. One of the characters of this newest movie is a school shooting survivor, and multiple times Leatherface makes her think of her trauma from that. This ticks me off for two reasons. First is that clearly this isn't presented the way it was intended. I do appreciate trying to work an important topic into this film, but the connections between Leatherface and the school shootings are so vague that it just doesn't work properly, and this is because someone, likely a Netflix executive, didn't want to alienate the audience by making the film have a message about gun violence. This clear censorship of themes makes it feel much more ingenuous than was likely the intention. The other that builds off of this is now it's just disrespectful. Comparing something as tragic and real as a school shooting to the stupid senseless violence here is just not okay. One is a societal issue that needs to change, and the other is a redneck with a chainsaw. A lot of things I've mentioned have had to do with the writing, but that isn't everything though. So maybe TCM 2022 is a competently made film.
I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening.
I love the visual design of the original film. It's dry and arid and monotonous.
It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere.
It creates the claustrophobia of being stranded in the middle of nowhere, and the creeping dread is created by all of the depiction of dead things in the framing. Things are shot from a low angle to make everything look intimidating. It makes every scene a visual treat. The new one is not a visual treat. It's astounding to me how bad the new one looks because Legendary Pictures was a production company behind it. Legendary has been behind some movies with phenomenal special effects, from the Dark Knight trilogy to Interstellar to more recently Dune and its upcoming sequel. But the Texas Chainsaw movie just looks so bad. So many of the digital effects shots either look rushed or just straight up wrong somehow. This clip of the car crashing, these look like child's toy cars. This clip of Leatherface standing in the cornfield, I don't know what's even happening that it looks this photoshopped. The cinematography never does anything creative or striking at all. It's just bland camera work with some really weird, not good looking shots scattered around. The film also just has awful lighting most of the movie. There's so little contrast anywhere. It's just dark in sand or light in sand. Stop with the sand, we all hate sand. Honestly, I don't need to explain this much because you got the picture looking at it. Well, would you look at the time? It looks like it's time for... These are just a bunch of things that irritate me that I really couldn't fit into other parts. 1. The movie opens with a sequence that feels akin to the opening of the original. I thought it was a tribute to the documentary style of the original by using a similar style to open the movie. But then it's actually the opening of a true crime show in a gas station. No, bad Chainsaw movie. 2. Melody is not a good character. She shows so little empathy and manipulates her sister so much. Bad character. Glad you died. 3. They give us a full shot of Leatherface's non-Leatherface about 15 minutes in, and it just irks me on so many levels. That's such a horror no-no. And I hate to tell anyone to just stick to tradition, but if John Carpenter didn't show Michael's face in the original Halloween, maybe follow one of the best horror directors of all time. I don't know. You do you. 4. If I get enough comments on this video, I will do the calculations of whether it is possible for Leatherface to be as fast as he is in some of these scenes. I will not believe he was fast enough to catch that bus. Sally Hardesty has like a minute and a half to shoot Leatherface dead in the house, and she doesn't for some unexplainable reason? Don't try to say her conscience was getting in the way, because she shoots him anyway like 5 minutes later. Why didn't you kill him right there? Also, 6, with Sally, she somehow was steady enough after 3 minutes of ridiculous bleeding out of like her entire stomach to shoot Leatherface right in the side. Number 7, this one is only going to irk like me and 5 other people, but they cast an NB actor to be the lead role and didn't just let them play the role as their own gender. Like, this is not a woman. What is wrong with all of you? In conclusion, the original's good and the new one's bad. Like, I don't know what you wanted me to say. I thought that was like really, really clear. Go watch the original. Hi everybody. Sorry that it's been like 9 months since I uploaded a video, but yeah, I'm back. I know this is a random thing to come back with, but I don't know, I felt like making it. Hopefully I can go back to making videos like semi-regularly, but I kind of want to like try to make them good this time, but we'll see. YouTube's making things kind of difficult right now for me to make videos the way I've been making them for the last like 2 years, 3 years or so. I am in fact going to try to do some stuff with Spotify relatively soon. I don't have like a date or anything. I'm just like when I'm able to. Please subscribe and I don't know, like this video if you like it, and comment stupid things down below. I like reading your comments, by the way. Like, I actually do read them, and they're really funny most of the time. So, thank you, and I'll see you maybe in the next video.